Matt, what's up, buddy?
Hey, man, I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for coming. I've got a lot on my mind to talk to you about, and our relationship goes back to just Grand Prairie, little politics here, but we formed a friendship out of that.
Yeah. And, no, I'm super glad to come back south, as they say.
Yeah. So you're in Plano, is that right?
I live in Allen now.
Allen. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
thanks for coming down. I didn't realize.
Yeah, as we call it, darn near North Oklahoma, right?
Yeah. I guess you're close. Yeah, they have the casinos on the border up there.
Yeah, I can get to a casino faster than I can get to downtown Dallas from my house.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then faster than here as well. So again, thanks. So I don't know. I so much I want to talk about, but let's start with your nonprofit that you're working with.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what's the name of it.
So the Warriors Keep.
It
was founded by a guy in McKinney, and the sole goal is to get veterans back outdoors, and connected with the community again, right? So I'll tell you a little bit about my background, I guess, would be a good place.
So what got you involved with the Warriors Keep?
Yeah. So, well, when I got out of the service, I'm super lucky. I had a wife that really kind of played my new commanding officer, so to speak, right? And told me what I needed to go do.
The good ones do that.
Yeah.
So good job.
Help direct me in the right way. But a lot of times when service members get out, they don't necessarily always have that, right? And so they get out, they get back, they go home, so to speak, and they just try to get back into life, but they find that, they've been away for 4, 8, 16 years.
Yeah.
Their whole world outside of them has grown up, and they're, thinking they're going to jump back in. It just doesn't work that way.
Doesn't work. Everybody's moved on.
Yeah, and so, the goal of this group, I think, is to kind of pull on those folks to help get them back out of the house and, with like-minded folks.
So are your compadres all veterans? I mean, the folks that are involved in this, do non-veterans hike, or are non-veterans involved in the Warriors Keep?
Yeah, so absolutely. So they do local community hikes. We've got one going on in Plano, I think, in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And those are kind of really focused on both veterans and community members, just getting out and getting back into nature, and
it's just like a city park in Plano.
Right. Yeah. So we do them in city parks in Plano. We've done a couple in kind of around Collin County area, just because that's where the base of us is right now.
Yeah.
But my focus has been kind of helping broaden that and expand it outside of that area. So I think we'll probably do a couple, maybe 1 or 2 here in Grand Prairie.
Excellent.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and Cedar Hill State Park, there's Cedar Hill Mountain Reserve or something like that. Plus our parks.
Yeah, Grand Prairie's got great parks. I can remember hiking from, I can't tell you the name of them now, but there's one trail that goes it's kind of off of, I think, Carrier, and goes around underneath.
It's Fish. I don't want to say it's Fish Creek, but it's very similar, if not.
Goes by, where there's like a gun range out there. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, south. This side, north.
Yeah, north side.
Yeah. That's Turner Park.
Yeah,
and Cottonwood Park.
Yep, it goes right down there, and I used to do that loop, man, 2 or 3 times a week.
The mayor does a bike run.
Okay.
There, and I've ridden my bike out there. It's all paved.
Yeah,
it's
great.
Solid. There's a little elevation, but nothing to even think twice about.
But so I think we're gonna, try and expand the group to do some stuff, maybe a little bit more outside of our comfort zone, which is Collin County. But
okay, so the Warriors Keep, is that a nonprofit?
Yeah, so it's
501c3.
Yep, absolutely. It's all charity funded. So we do the community hikes that I mentioned, but we also take veterans on expeditions.
Okay.
So they do a couple, 2 a year. They take anywhere between 12 and 15 vets to Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Fly them all up free, no cost to the vet.
Excellent. So I donate $20 to Warriors Keep. That goes to a plane ticket.
Yeah, directly to
take a vet.
Yeah, absolutely. So the entire organization is totally volunteer. So every dollar raised goes back into a program.
The administrators or administration of Warriors Keep, are they veterans as well?
They
or
are, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the pseudo, I guess we'll call them staff members for lack of a better term, directors are all veterans.
Yeah.
And then we have a nonprofit board, and that's made up of both vets and non-vets.
Very cool. Very cool. I feel like many people, so you've got folks who give all the time, and they say that, 20% of the people give 80% of the money, right? Donation wise.
Right, sure.
And I would say that the 80% of folks don't always get to, they may not have an opportunity to give. Sometimes they think giving $1 is not enough, or they're not passionate about something. But I feel there are folks that I've met that don't give to anything, but if they knew a good veterans type organization, it's almost like they would just get the money out as fast as they could. Whereas others are maybe more picky, and I guess it's like about finding that niche.
Yeah. So one of the great things about the Warriors Keep is that we're super young, and so it's only been around for, I think this is now the 3rd year. So they've really been bootstrapping and just putting every focus they can onto the vets, and so. My goal has really been to kind of expose the great work they're already doing out to the broader masses.
Yeah. Awareness.
Right. For sure. Because, like I said, they're based out of McKinney. I live, 15 miles from them maybe, and just now started getting involved. Right.
Wow.
And so.
Yeah. And so I feel like within a year, maybe longer, you did some Rotary stuff about either this program or
it was a different program. There are a ton of different veteran charities, and they're all great organizations. They're all really trying to find that niche to help vets, right?
Yeah.
So some of them are really focused on giving veterans a new kind of mission, and that was probably, I talked about Team Rubicon, which I still love.
Yeah,
I'm very involved with. Is part of their operations are actually based here in Grand Prairie, not that far from here.
See, I see Rubicon as a Jeep thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not.
It's not, yeah. So, there's a whole folklore about Rubicon, but the Rubicon was a river, and man, I'm going to mess this up.
Yeah.
But,
go ahead, it's fine.
Some,
we get the idea.
Area, and one of the generals was crossing over the Rubicon, and so crossing the Rubicon is like a point of no return, right?
Very cool.
And so that's where the name comes from.
Yeah.
But so they're also a great nonprofit organization that's really focused on disaster relief.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was confused a little bit with the whole GoRuck.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so what is GoRuck, and how does that apply?
Yeah. So as you said, we've been friends for a long time. I've been hiking and doing that kind of nature-driven exercising for 10 plus years.
Wow.
And so GoRuck is probably it's a for-profit company that started by some special forces guys that
equipment.
Yeah, basically build backpacks, right? Like, I don't think I brought mine in, but their goal was to create a backpack that was field operational, but you could wear in everyday life, right? And so really kind of taught me one of the things that you see a lot in people that have tactical backpacks, right? There are pockets for everything.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't like that.
Okay.
Because there's too many pockets, and I'm not going to remember which pocket I put something in.
Every time you look for something, you're checking 5 pockets.
Right. So GoRuck was kind of, they're very simple bags that, I know exactly where everything is.
Yeah.
There's few pockets, and they're just built to last. They have lifetime warranties. And so they created these kind of pseudo exercise things to really kind of test their product, right? And so, these backpacks, you would put weight in them, and then they would lead you through like a, kind of fitness exercise thing overnight. And
very cool.
So that's how I really got started, kind of
post-military. So that brings you to the hiking now. I mean, now you're getting out, and so you got this hiking thing going on in the Warriors Keep. So that's probably drew you to them.
Yeah,
You're already
so
hiking.
I was already hiking. I already knew I loved to get outdoors, and I think as a society, probably we don't get outdoors enough.
No.
I think the first, within the last 50 years, probably, right? 50 years ago, we spent the majority of our time outside.
Yeah.
And now
we got that conditioned air,
right?
Whatever temperature you want.
Now we've become so, indoors driven, and then we wonder why we're having all these kind of mental health issues that we didn't see before. It's because we're not outside.
Yeah. About for the last 2 years, what I've done has kept me from my normal trips to outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
But I get out and walk. The dog helps me do that because I want to get the dog out. But there's a field by my house, and I just this weekend I remember walking through it, and it's not a big field. It's probably 150 yards long, and it's probably about a football field.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I remember walking the other day, and I heard the birds chirping, and the green grass under me. I was like, man, and I mean, if you look up, you see there's houses all around you, but it's just this open piece of grass, and I'm like, man, this is so nice.
I mean, it really there's just a natural effect about being outside that just makes us happier people. I mean, so last weekend or 2 weekends ago, I guess, I went on a hike, went to the part of the training of this current expedition I'm going on with this Warrior Keep is we're gonna go climb Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. That's so cool, man.
So Kilimanjaro is the tallest freestanding mountain in the world.
In the world.
Like,
now this is Africa.
Yeah, Tanzania, Africa.
Okay.
It's like 19,000 feet in the air.
Jeez.
Which is roughly how high
under 4 miles.
Yeah, I mean it's
just under 4 miles high.
It's up there, man. And so we do these different training expeditions as a group. And so we just went out to
Guadalupe
Peak, which is 8,700 and some change. So
so double that and some
more
icing on the cake.
Yeah, the tallest peak in Texas is below Denver Airport. So
wow. Jeez, man.
But yeah, so we went out there, but a couple of things really struck me, and one of the things that struck me was on the trail we met tons of people. There were just tons of people out there, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But also every single one of those people we saw was having a good time.
Yeah.
Like everybody was smiling and happy, even the ones that it's a physically demanding hike. It's 8 mile, 4 miles to the peak and then 4 miles back.
Yeah, I can hike 4 miles, but not 4 miles uphill. Well, maybe. But that's the tough thing.
But and there's just some people that you could tell this was probably a life-altering thing. This was a goal for them. This was a struggle. And even those people were just they were happy, right?
Yeah.
And so much of the day I think we spend kind of in our own little worlds a lot of time. And you go past somebody on the street, and Grand Prairie's a very nice town, but the odds that they're going to smile and say, hey, man, how are you doing? You're doing a great job. Probably pretty slim, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But if you see somebody out there, I guarantee you they're gonna cheer you on.
Well, I've done a few hikes, nothing like that, but some good. We did Half Dome at Yellowstone, or not Yellowstone, Yosemite. And when you see, it's such a long hike, when you see people on the trail, hey, you, just because that's the only person you've seen for the last 2 or 3 hours.
And so,
so a couple of questions about that. One, what did you show up at a hotel, and then starting point? I guess what I'm trying to get at is your starting point, and then did you hike overnight? Did you camp? Yeah, so
for Guadalupe Peak?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. So me and a lady I'd never met before that is on the trip with us, that's going on the trip with us, met up Saturday morning, I guess. Okay. And then we drove from Allen out there.
Wow.
So we drove 7.5, 8 hours.
I thought it'd be longer than that, but I guess I kind of makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So well, I say that. I also would say that, those out there in that area of the world, I think speed limits are sort of suggestions.
Nice.
So,
nice. Well,
you know,
when there's nobody on the
right,
road.
there's nobody out there, and the road is perfectly flat and straight.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
So
how about that?
you're just driving, but
Get on up to 70 miles an hour, right?
yeah, exactly. 75 if we're pushing it, but you know, so we drove out there. We actually drove through New Mexico to get there.
Yeah.
So that was a quicker way. We
No
actually
way.
had to leave Texas.
Yeah.
And then, so we drove through Hobbs, New Mexico, and then Carlsbad, which is
Okay.
where the caverns are.
Yeah.
And then drove south. I had some New Mexican barbecue.
Okay. I did see your Facebook post on that.
I would
one.
not recommend it. No offense.
Good call. Good call.
Carlsbad. It's just different than Texas barbecue.
Did I see you next to the?
Yeah.
What do you call that thing?
I guess it's just like the
Pinnacle?
peak marker.
Peak marker.
Yeah. So I got some photos. Yeah, I'll make sure to send you all those.
Yeah, I know I have one or two, but send whatever.
Yeah. So that thing is actually pretty interesting. Can't really see it from that angle. Is actually part of it was sponsored by American Airlines.
No way.
Yeah.
Good for them, man.
So they sponsored it like back in like the 1930s.
So, oh wow. So, quick. That's crazy because they would have just started back.
Yeah, I mean it was super young, but it's got their eagle on it, and
so little side note: sponsoring things like that can have some real dividends. And what I mean by that is, on a simple level, Theos and Outlaws. Mm-hmm. My first year in business, over 14 years ago, we bought. It was a $250 ad. And they built this big board with pins on it, and then they had advertisements, 8x11 advertisements on it. And I didn't want to pay the $200, just because we were just starting our business, but I did it anyway. Well, it's still there.
Yeah,
my ad is there 14 years later, right in the front of Outlaws. And then the next thing, my leadership Grand Prairie group. Was such a fun time, learned so much about the city and such. We still met afterwards, and we got together and donated $250 to the new fire station for the flagpole. Well, they put a plaque of our names at downtown Grand Prairie. My name is on a bronze plaque.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yeah.
Anyway, American Airlines, they might have, I don't know the cost of that, but for 80, 90 years of advertising,
right? For sure,
yeah,
for sure.
Pretty powerful.
Their logo has changed a couple times, so I had to go look it up. And
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I was wondering. Yeah.
So, but I actually sent it. I have a buddy that works for American Airlines, and I sent it over to him. I was like, "Hey, man, did you know that this is up there?"
This is my mind running. I think you did a picture of like the other peak that's pretty tall.
Yeah.
Okay. So it'd be American Airlines could be like, peak to peak,
right?
We'll
exactly.
get you from peak to peak, and here's our logo. That's just my mind racing and marketing and such.
Yeah. So, in fact, that's a cool point to mention. So we climbed to the top. So
let's back up if you don't mind. You get there 2 or 3?
Yeah.
4 o'clock.
So we get there about 2:30.
Yeah.
Me and a friend decide we're gonna. Right, wrong, or this is probably not a good idea after driving 8 hours. We decide we're gonna hike half the mountain.
Let's go.
So we go up there. We're like, let's just see. In the first mile or so, mile and a half of Guadalupe Peak is pretty steep.
Steep. Okay.
It's a lot more stepping on top of rocks, like constant stair stepping, not really switchbacks, kind of hiking. And so we're going, and I feel like we've been gone for an hour and a half. I'm like, man, we got to be getting close. This got to be like, we're just climbing up the top of this mountain. And then we get around the corner and the wind hits us. I swear that must have been like 60 mile an hour wind.
No way. What, if you don't, so that's part of what I was asking is, when you started that hike, where is start point? What and where is you started, right?
Yeah.
What is that?
So, the trailhead was
Trailhead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So the trailhead.
What's the trailhead? Where's the?
It's kind of like, it's about 40 miles south of Carlsbad.
And so you just pull your car up.
Yeah,
to
it's a national park.
Off the interstate.
Yeah, it's a national park. It's Guadalupe Mountain National Park. You just pull in.
Okay.
There actually wasn't really even a guard or checkpoint. I have a tag for my car, that
Nice.
Veteran tag, disabled vet tag.
For national parks and
yeah,
such?
for national parks, which is
Great
a whole
idea.
other topic we can talk about.
Yeah,
So I get in, we park, we unload our gear. We were camping. The Warriors Keep had set up tents already for us. So
Okay.
just
There at the
yep.
at Trailhead.
Yep.
But you said, screw it, I'm going.
Yeah. So we hiked up halfway, just because we had some time to kill. There was no one else from the group there yet, and it was just a couple folks. And so
So you hit that 60-mile-an-hour wind.
yeah, so we get up there and we're like, all right, we're going back down.
Really?
Yeah, we had kind of hit the peak. Some other folks were starting to show up. So we head back down.
I don't get it. So you hiked an hour in.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm done. Oh,
Yeah.
because you hadn't made it anywhere.
Right. And
Might
so-
as well. Okay.
Yeah, so we were like, well, and we left all our stuff down there. We weren't going to camp up there.
Yeah,
We were
okay.
just kind of
Oh.
like it's a practice hike, so
Sure,
to speak,
sure.
right?
Know
And
what you're getting yourself into.
Right, exactly. And I will tell you, the next morning we got up, so we went back, we ate some dinner, kind of, just fellowshipped with the folks, and then we all racked out probably 8-ish maybe. Got up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
that morning. And started hiking, and we probably left. We broke down camp and probably started the hike at roughly 5:30ish.
Okay. And you got another hour of no sun, right?
Yeah, and an hour and a half,
Wow.
of darkness. So
I guess you just got like
we had
headlamps.
headlamps, hiking by headlamps.
Wow. How many people?
There was, call it 15 of us.
Okay.
Yeah, so pretty good group.
Did y'all stick together pretty much, or?
We kind of accordion effect. So we
Sure,
would,
yeah.
there were a couple of folks in there that would just take off. They got them long legs like you that just take off walking, and I have to take 5 steps for every one they take.
My longest hike I've done, long legs, when you're going uphill, long legs don't matter, because the guy kept telling me you got to take small steps.
Yeah.
He said if you're taking these big old steps, you're going to tire out. And that's what I was doing. I was taking these big long steps, and next thing you know, I'm like, I'm completely exhausted.
Yeah.
I started doing the small step thing. I mean, it's still tough, but I was just trekking.
Right.
Boom, 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 boom.
And so they would, I was teasing them the whole time. I'm like, why are y'all going so fast, man? The only thing waiting for me at the bottom of the mountain once I get to the top is an 8-hour car ride home.
Yeah, it's a good point, man.
Like, so let's all just enjoy the scenery, right? And so, I've got some friends that are talking about doing that same hike. If I were going to do it again, I would absolutely do it in the morning the same way. I mean, waking up that early was not the most enjoyable thing, but
That's
at
how I did mine.
the same time, just the views of the sunrise over the mountain, like, you just can't beat that.
Well, especially when you're hiking for an hour and a half in the dark, and it's already like a little bit tiring. And
I mean,
the sun starts popping up. You're like, suddenly your mind's not on
right,
your legs
your
and
feet
the burning.
hurting, and so as we were climbing to the top, me and the person that had hiked the day earlier, we're like, man, maybe this wasn't such a good, because we're already a little sore. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And then we got further up to the top. No, this is actually after we had hit the summit. And they go, so what do you think? Was that a good idea? And I was like, man, I'm so glad we did it the day before, because it gave us a benchmark of like, okay, we know that after we hit this point, it's not as vertical anymore.
Right.
Then it's a little easier.
Encouraging.
So we knew we just had to get to that point.
Okay. And so what's the total hike one direction?
So just over 4 miles one way. Going down's a lot easier. I actually ran part of the mountain downhill.
Really?
Because it's a little flatter, and kind of towards the end it kind of flattens out a little bit. And so I was just jogging on my way down, because I mean it probably took us maybe 5 hours or so total round trip. And so
really,
yeah.
Man, I feel like I could probably do that. I've got, I don't like to pull my tent with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll stay overnight. I don't think I have the shoulders to carry that much equipment.
Oh yeah, so I mean, up and down the mountain, we carried. I brought an extra jacket because it gets super windy and cold, and brought some rain gear just in case it rained. in some water and some snacks, and that was it.
That's it. Nice.
I don't need all that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because you're gonna get down the mountain, and so
I did. I was in Costa Rica for 2 months, and the day before New Year's Eve, the guy that was the janitor / conversational Spanish class teacher, his aunt lives up in the Costa Rican mountains, and so he's like, "We're gonna hike up there. Do you want to go with me?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." Did the same thing. We woke up super early. I mean, this is in the, I'm not gonna say slums, but just poor area. And slums is not the right word, but like,
sure,
it's just a small road, dirt road with houses on either sides. Now they're cinder block, square houses, but it's just poor. I mean, there's nothing else around. And I slept on the floor, and we popped up about 4 o'clock in the morning and just started walking. Of course, he knew where he was going, but I was just following him. And we hiked out of his village into the woods and across the river, and then started the trek uphill. It was a one-way thing.
Yeah. So the good thing about this trek, I would tell anybody, is that the path is pretty well defined, so you're not going to get lost.
Yeah.
It's one way up, one way down, kind of thing, and so you just follow the.
Could a beginner do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's challenging. Don't get me wrong, but it's, if you're, can walk a couple miles, you could probably get it done.
It sounds like you get through that first hour.
The first hour, is definitely the most challenging part, I thought.
Because and I like that, to do that. I like to get the hard part done, and then kind of cruise.
Yeah, I mean,
after
for
that.
sure. Everything, I used to do a lot of 5Ks and 10Ks.
Okay.
And I used to tell people that I think 5Ks are the worst races ever developed, because you start, and I don't care who you are, anybody that starts running, when you start, it's painful.
Yeah.
You don't like doing it because your body is telling you, I don't want to do this.
Yep.
And so on a 5K, just when you hit your stride, the race is over. And you're like, okay, well, that was... I hated it. I hated the entire time, and then I was done. And
so the 10K, suddenly you got that time
you kind of hit your stride. Yeah. And so the hike is the same way. The first mile, you're just like, man, I don't, it's early, I'm tired. Maybe you didn't sleep well because you're sleeping outside, kind of, in a tent.
I had a friend that did Guadalupe Peak, and I don't know their timing, but they definitely stayed overnight.
Yeah.
They they pitched a tent, slept, got up and hiked some more. And I don't know if there was a different track or whatever.
So there is like a primitive campsite you can do that's probably halfway, 3/4 of the way up to the top.
Okay.
Like you, I having done it now, I don't know if I'd want to carry my tent up there.
Seems like a short enough hike that you don't have to do. Why?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's cool that you can do it, but just the amount of wind that I felt up there, like, I'd just be worried that I'd get, blown away.
So since my long hikes, both of them I did not in shape. I've gotten in shape since, gotten out of shape and back in, what I'm saying? I'd like to see what I could do when I'm in shape. And a lot of it, I think, is just, like I've walked up, when you're walking up hills and those legs start burning, you're determining how in shape you are.
Sure,
at that point, right?
for sure. I work out, 5 days a week.
Oh, good.
I do a lot of treadmill and normal cardio work, but I will say, following this, the last week and a half, I've done nothing but Stairmaster.
Nice.
Because I've realized that I need like that leg strength of just that up and down. It's not something I was training for.
Dude, Stairmaster's brutal, man.
And so I wasn't training for that. And then I encountered that on the mountain, and I was like, oh my God, my legs, like, I'm
Jello.
Physically, I'm not tired, which is why I was able to like jog down part of the mountain.
That's what happened with me. My legs were done. And I'm like, I've got wind.
Right.
I mean, I'm good, but I can't move my legs.
So I immediately went home and I'm like, all right, I got a new thing to train, right?
Good job, man.
So we do, going back to the Kilimanjaro trip, we do a training hike once a month.
Yeah. So what's your next
one? Yeah. So we're going to in second weekend of March, so March 7th and 8th, we're going down to Georgetown.
Okay.
Which is where there's not a lot of mountains down there.
Yeah.
I see the look on your face.
Yeah. What?
But we're doing a long hike, so we're doing it's kind of a fundraiser.
That's between like Waco and Austin, right?
Yeah. It's just on the north side of Austin, Georgetown.
Okay, so
Georgetown Lake.
Austin.
Yeah, it's closer to Austin. But so we're doing a 50K, which is 31 miles.
Jeez.
31.5 probably, I think.
Of course, flatter, so you're moving a lot faster.
Yeah, so we're gonna do it. It's the Marine Corps Ultra Runners of America, I think.
Okay.
They're doing a kind of virtual 50K. And so we're going to take part of that. I'm signed up. And
is anybody running that? Or is it more of a hike?
So I think our group will probably hike it all. We're going to try and do it as a team. But there are certainly, you can sign up anywhere all over the world.
Yeah. No, I've seen that because I've seen I want to say it was a 200K. Where, these like guys that.
Oh, yeah,
they train by running a marathon a day.
Yeah.
Like that's what and I'm like, wait, a marathon a day? I thought that was the extreme. And this is the extreme of the extreme, I guess.
Yeah, so I have a friend of mine that ran he's a state senator. He ran 7 marathons in 7 days in 7 different continents.
Jeez.
Like literally.
Oh, in 7 different continents?
Yep. They run a marathon on every continent in 7 days.
Boy, you're on the move.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
You get off the plane, you run the marathon, and you get right back on the plane.
Marathon records like 3 or 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
So these guys got to do it in like 5. Just say they do it in 5. Golly, that's 35 hours.
Yeah. So I guess the record, like the marathon record's like 2 hours.
Is it
or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
but those people are like literally flying. Like 75% of the time, they're not touching the ground.
Yeah, that's pretty. By the way, a female won that 200K. That I was talking about. And I wish I had the information on me, but.
So one of the girls on the trek with us to Kilimanjaro's big time runner. She just did a. Kind of her own volition, did a run from Houston to San Antonio to raise awareness about PTSD.
So, if you're able to, take pictures and capture these moments and with social media and such.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times, like with my podcast, I don't like to go and come look at it. I don't mind sharing it with my friends. Just because it's not, but for a nonprofit, my point is for a nonprofit, I'd feel great sharing and look at this, look at these cool things going on.
No, I'd love to, so I've been, shameless plug. You can follow me on Instagram and all that stuff. And
what's your Instagram?
So it's at Matt M. Foster.
Okay. Very easy. And I'll remember, we'll try to do it at the end too.
But yeah, so I'm posting all kinds of videos, and you can follow The Warriors Keep at The Warriors Keep.
Okay.
Just the same.
That's Instagram.
Yeah.
And then just look up Matt Foster or Warriors Keep on Facebook as well.
Yeah. And so we post a lot of photos of us out there on the trips. Surprisingly, one of the cool things about Guadalupe Peak is that there's actually cell phone servers out there. So we were uploading like live.
Just rolling. It's everywhere now, man.
Yeah, live video of us climbing a mountain at 4 a.m.
You can't get anywhere without the cell phone now.
Yeah. So, but the Warriors Keep is an awesome group. Like I said, it's super small, but it's growing so big. This will be the second time they've done Kilimanjaro.
Yeah, very
So they
cool.
did it last year, and now that I'm in the second cohort of a group to do it. We've got 4 females going with us.
Very cool.
So 1/3 of the cohort is female.
Very good. So, consider coming back after Georgetown.
I'd love to. I always love getting back into Grand Prairie. And
we'll try to do it on a Thursday.
Got to get some tacos. We'll just have them cater it in. I'll pay the non-Thursday rate for tacos.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the thing is we've got it's every other day. So literally.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Next week and last week, they're off one of the days. So anyway, every other day.
Yeah.
So every 2 weeks.
It's on a Thursday. So, but no, I'd love to, it's been such an interesting journey for me so far. Just the things that I've picked up out of, Guadalupe Peak about, just relaxing and not having to race up the mountain. Right. And not having to, stress out about all life stressors, because those are going to be back when I get home, right?
Yeah.
So just be intentional and enjoying the moment.
So I want to talk a little bit about more of Warriors Keep's goals. So, you're talking about bringing them to Colorado and getting them out in nature a lot more. And that's because more or less the veteran suicide rate, right?
Yeah. So, the veteran suicide rate is a pretty prominent number.
Yeah.
It's anywhere between, 19 to 22 a day, but
it just amazes me
that is too many, right? Like one is too many.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get the numbers it's just amazing.
It's hard to believe, but it stems from a whole lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people think about it, and I think they look at, why is that now an issue? Is there something different in today's wars and fighting that perhaps wasn't there previously? And I would tell you, I think, I personally believe one thing is that PTSD is on a sliding scale, much like kind of how we consider autism, right?
Yeah.
In that everybody is impacted in some way, and everyone deals with that in that level in a different way. And it's not that it's more prevalent now. It's that when we come out of the service, we don't necessarily fall right into something else.
Yeah. Would you say that number includes all veterans?
Yeah. So it definitely.
And the reason, because out there thinking about a Vietnam vet.
Yeah.
So with respect, a khaki colored vet, meaning the sand camouflage, goes into a bar, goes into a restaurant. People are now, luckily in this society, hey sir, thanks for your service. Hey, can we buy your meal?
Yeah.
Discounts are offered. Well, you got the 60-year-old Vietnam vet sitting in the corner, who's seen probably things far worse than that guy.
Yeah, for sure.
And his time back, well, he was yelled at and ridiculed.
Yeah, make absolutely no
that
mistake.
Could cost somebody.
The reason veterans are treated so well today is because a group of veterans that came home in Vietnam that weren't treated that way stood up and said, we're not going to allow this to happen anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And so they are probably directly responsible for that, because they stood up and they were like, listen, this is not how we should be treated. And so it happened to me, but I'm not going to let it happen to somebody else.
Sure.
And so, I think that there is a lot of that. I think the suicide rate kind of goes through ages, but it's predominantly, in all honesty, probably in the 50-year-old ish range. And I think that's partially because those are either the folks that have spent their entire life in the military.
I was going to make a few guesses, and that was one of them. First career, you get out of
and then what do you do?
Highly structured. You're always doing something. You're always accomplishing something. That's what it's designed to do. Here's your prerogative. Here's your mission.
Yeah.
Get that done. And you do that your entire life, adult life, and then you're done.
Yeah.
And then what do you do?
Right. And then, and so I used to tell people all the time, so I was not a type A person when I joined the military. But I mean, I was like a type D person.
Yeah.
Very, very not necessarily goal driven, right? But everybody in the military is type A. You either are type A or you become type A.
What do you mean by type A?
I mean, very, mission driven, very focused on what you're, trying to go out and do, very outspoken.
Then type B would be just like laid back.
Right, yeah.
I'm type B.
And so you become forced to do that. And so then because everybody around is like that, and then you get out of the service and you go back into the broader society that has a lot more, mixes of type A and type B type personalities.
Ooh.
And that's where, a lot of people will sometimes accuse veterans of being overly aggressive, and that it's just because that mentality is the way it was for so long.
Well, and it's how you succeed.
Right.
You go, and you either succeed by going, or you're better than the next guy.
Right.
Which is a good thing in that atmosphere.
And so, so there are all kinds of different ways, and unfortunately for a long time, our VA system, and it's gotten better, but it's still not where it needs to be, and it wasn't, it was oftentimes trying to take a faster approach to resolving this issue, right?
Yeah.
And so the approach was, here's a bunch of pills or whatever, and go, and good luck to you kind of thing. That's
rough, man.
And, I'm blessed that I hadn't had to go through that, but I have plenty of friends that have, and, they really, that wasn't the solution for them, right?
Well,
right?
It sounds like, one, your own mental strength, and not to say that they're not mentally strong, but it sounds like, two, you first thing you said, you have a commanding officer.
My wife is we're coming up on Valentine's Day, right? And I can unequivocally tell you that if it weren't for her, I'd probably still be doing stuff I shouldn't be doing, right?
No doubt about it.
And so she was very much the driver out. In fact, so much so, I was actually living in Grand Prairie, going to school in Arlington after I'd gotten out. And she's kind of how I got started in politics.
Okay.
And my wife is not involved in politics at all.
Yeah.
But she was also not a fan of me just sitting home playing Xbox all the time.
Nice.
So
get up, get out of here.
Go do something. And so that's, I finished all my college work, because in the military they teach you how to time management really well. And if you tell me this is a task you need to do to get an A, I would just went out and did that task. I'm like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
In the first 3-4 weeks of class, okay, here's your stuff.
Wow. Ready to roll.
And I'm just going to go play Xbox now. Well, my wife obviously didn't like that.
Tell me your degrees.
Yeah, so I have a bachelor's in interdisciplinary studies from UTA.
Oh, nice.
And then I have a master's in public administration.
Public administration.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's geared towards, more or less, and a lot of times I don't know what degrees even mean, but like a city manager type.
Yeah, so a lot of city managers, nonprofits, a lot of nonprofits get that kind of, basically an MPA is like a MBA, except you're not focused on profit.
Yeah, I got you.
But I get to work with a lot of different, I got to go to school with a lot of city officials and government officials, and so
I think our city manager here in Grand Prairie does a class.
Yeah, he does a class. So he and I serve on a board. So 2 years ago, I was the UTA Distinguished Alumni of the Year.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so I'm one of the first from our school, I think, in public administration, and so he and I serve on a board together.
Now, is that at UTA?
Yeah.
So it's a UTA deal?
Mm-hmm.
Remind me on something I want to ask you about that when we get done. But and that was a Master's of Public Administration. Did you take his class, or was that
I did
separate?
not.
Okay.
Yeah, I did not. I don't think he was teaching maybe when I was there.
Yeah, so it's been a while now.
Yeah, I graduated in 2013 from that program.
Okay. So 7 years ago. Any plans for any more education?
I mean,
that's a plenty. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, it's always on the thought, but at the same time, I really, I love what I'm doing now. And so I don't know if, it really advances what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I'm, I love to look at, the potential of taking a class here or there of something I really just want to learn more about.
Yeah, I've got, so I started my business while I was still at UTA. And I didn't finish because I had like a 2.3 GPA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had to have a 2.5 to declare a major. Well, I never got a declared major because I always had a lower GPA.
Oh, yeah.
So I take my insurance licensing exam. I ace it. So I'm now starting my business.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, I need to make a good grade in one of these business classes to raise my GPA so I can declare. I take an insurance class. So remember, I just aced the exam.
Right, yeah.
I said aced it. I mean, like I made an A. And so I take this class and I make a C. I'm like, it didn't help.
Sure.
I can't keep taking classes. I'm literally starting a business where I'm doing accounting, marketing, management, economics. I'm doing it all, and they taught me. I'm using what they taught me. I just didn't have a degree, and so I quit going.
Yeah.
And so about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years, golly, time flies, about 4 or 5 years ago, I went back because I'd learned so much Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say, well, maybe I can apply this to the degree. So I go and I start taking Spanish classes, and I go in there to declare a Spanish major, find out what it is I need to do. And they're looking at their records, and they're like, hold on. They go in the other room and talking to the boss, and they all come and they're looking at my deal. They're like, you qualify for a business management degree. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah, we can get, if you want to fill out the paperwork. I said, well, I want to get a Spanish degree. What's the deal?
Right.
So if I get that degree, I have to take more classes to get the Spanish degree. And so I said, well, let me just wait and do a double major. And it's just the additional classes. So I did that, and then my secretary quit. So I'm in advanced Spanish, not in beginner, intermediate. I'm in advanced Spanish class, and we're doing like very detailed Spanish stuff. My secretary quits, so I missed like 2 tests, and I think they let me make one of them up. They let me make the other up. Anyway, I made a C in the class, passed it, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the made up, which I didn't get full credit for, and a completely missed test that went against me.
Right.
And so I quit at that point because I was pissed. Like, I still made a C and plus it was a 79.3.
Oh, so it was almost, yeah.
That B, I probably would have kept going.
Right.
But just messing with them. Anyway, I'll probably go back and get some more education at some point.
I think
at my leisure.
Yeah, so, one of the, when I was living here in Grand Prairie, I worked for the school district at the time, and
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So
okay.
I worked for the school district.
Oh, for Austin, working in Austin.
Well, so I worked for the member, and then
No, but I'm sorry. I thought your role at the school district was to help.
Oh, right.
Go to Austin
go to Austin. Yeah. So I worked in that kind of government relations space. But one of the things that, I'm a firm believer in everywhere I've worked, I always get something out of it, right? And one of the things that I got out of Grand Prairie is that it definitely taught me the need to be like a lifelong learner, right? Like, you don't just learn something once and then I've got it, moving on. And so I'm always looking up, reading new articles about what's going on in the world. And so, with these devices we have with us these days, right, that's so easy. And so, I'm always on the computer just reading something,
I'll preach. You don't know shite, okay? You can always keep learning.
Exactly.
Always. You can never learn it all. And if you and as you learn things, I think my first time I did Spanish immersion, there was a couple, 83 and 82 years old. And I was talking to them, and they were like, they said, we don't want our brain to grow old, so we're just taking Spanish courses.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even want to learn Spanish that bad.
Right.
They just wanted to challenge their brain.
Yeah.
I was like, I wish, if nothing else, if I could teach folks, never quit learning it.
Yeah.
If all that is reading a book, then just always read a book.
It's just something that it's so important to just, like them, right? Our mental capacity to just always be. So that is a way of saying, will I ever go back? I'll probably never go get a degree, or I don't have a desire to get a PhD or anything like that. But I do definitely love, just learning about new concepts or what people are researching today.
And there's got to be a point where you can teach something.
So that's an interesting thought. One of the weird things about the way our system accredits colleges.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I'm not qualified to teach college government.
Yeah. Wow.
Even though my degree is in public administration and I've worked in Austin and all over in the legislature, but I'm technically not qualified.
That's funny. Whatever.
But but at the same time, I tell people, I'm like, look, man, I guest lecture in classes all the time.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Between guest lecturing and then Chamber of Commerce, or
Right.
just the library, I bet you'd have fun.
I guest lecture at a couple different classes, sometimes in law classes, which is always
Okay.
really interesting because
Oh, wow.
these are people that are gonna be lawyers, and they have me,
As their guest.
non-lawyer, coming in to talk to them
Teach them
about
something.
stuff. But again, it's just that lifelong experience. And so one of the things I think I've been dabbling in this thought that I want to maybe start up is, I can't teach college government and I can't teach high school government, but I can help teach for citizenship tests,
Oh, wow.
which is a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
And so, those might be opportunities
That's a good idea.
to volunteer and help.
You ought to seriously try to dive into Spanish. That's just my
Yeah.
suggestion. So I always bring this up when we talk about citizenship. My deer lease that I've been going my entire life. I don't even I hunt, but I just like going down there.
Mhm.
Like we're
Yeah,
talking about, just
nature.
getting outside. It's in Llano County, which is pretty central Texas, hill
Mhm.
country. And for years, I've driven by Lake Buchanan. It's a humongous lake down there. It feeds the dam system, what they built for the rice farmers.
Okay.
It's a really cool kind of story. But anyway, right there on Buchanan Lake where we drive by looks to be some type of cabins where you can go out to the water, almost like a Boy Scout camp type thing,
Mhm.
right? And I don't know if it's always been this way, but at some point years ago, probably 10 plus years ago, it said Citizens Academy. And I was going, what is that even? I didn't get it.
Mhm.
Come to find out, this is an academy where people go to learn how to pass their citizenship test. It's like they put them away from everything else. I mean, I guess you got to have money to do that. So
Sure.
it's not like the Joes
Right.
that are barely getting across, from the border. I mean, maybe folks actually have a little bit of money, have to do this. But crazy thing, right there in the middle
Yeah.
of Texas, hill country, they've got this citizenship academy. And I looked it up online, and sure enough, it's complete, full deal. They got
Huh.
classes, and they take pictures.
But
and-
yeah, I mean, so I just love, because you learn that there is so much to the governmental process that a lot of people just don't know.
yeah,
And it's not that, I mean it can get complex.
yeah.
And it's it's
No,
fascinating for me, so I love to talk about that process and kind of help people figure out what's going on.
One of the things I've figured out is the pots of money, meaning that money can only be spent
Right.
on certain things. And so when somebody is questioning how a dollar is spent or why don't they, or let's move this around, that's not the way it works.
Yeah.
Money, your taxes or your fees or whatever it is, it goes to that place and you can't spend it elsewhere.
Yep.
Just little things like that have helped me to educate people about some of that stuff. Well, cool, man. I wanted to, first off, the ideas. When is the next?
So March 7th and 8th is the next hike, and then it's probably the first weekend of April, and then the first weekend of May.
So what is April? What's in April?
So April we're doing, this one's kind of outside Killeen. It's more of a family kind of
Okay.
just camping. We'll probably do like a 10-mile hike.
Sure.
Um,
Just a 10-mile, but
yeah.
compared
and
to the
then
others.
Compared to the others, and then in May we're going to Taos, New Mexico to go climb.
no way.
Mount Wheeler, which is the one you saw on my Instagram of the photo I posted that you could see from the other peak. And
How are you going to get to that?
So I'm flying.
Yeah.
It's a long drive. This drive kind of set that pace when I came home. I was like, that's it. Let's
Yep,
go
we're
find.
flying.
Let's go find an airline that's gonna fly me.
Cheap airfare.
But yeah, so I'm gonna fly out there probably Friday morning. Then we'll hike the mountain Saturday, fly back Sunday, and then less than a month later after that, we leave for Africa.
It's June-ish.
Yeah, so I think we leave on like the 31st of May, and then we're gone the first week and a half of June.
Okay. So let's. if not before, definitely between Tao and Kilimanjaro.
Okay.
We'll keep that in mind. And then, of course, after.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, it's been such an eye-opening adventure each time, and I'm really trying to, like, one thing that I haven't been very good at in my life is journaling and trying to remember, and so I've been really intentional on this one of making notes about things I think of while I'm hiking. And
the few times I've done that, I've found it's kind of almost feels stupid writing. We hiked the mountain at 4:00, but that seems weird writing that down. But 10 years later,
right,
when you see that, it's complete vivid
right,
memory.
Exactly. And so that's really what I'm trying to focus on is, and I take tons of pictures now. My wife hates that. Everywhere we go, I take a billion pictures of everything.
Good job.
And that's probably a lot of it is because, I was in the military for just over 4 years. I didn't take any pictures. Like,
got zero pictures from the military.
There's like very few of photos of me. And so, and certainly even less that you can, publicly share that I'm not flipping off the camera or something, right? And so, because I was 21-year-old in a war zone.
Good job.
So, so it's just not a lot. And I definitely regret that because there's so much that, like, I remember that I can recall, but I can't share.
It's just up there.
Right. And so I didn't journal. And so I'm really trying to be intentional this trip with this particular adventure of writing things down and like, oh, I was thinking about this on the mountain or that, or, you know, and like I said, the Guadalupe Peak was such a, eye-opening experience. If for nothing else, it reminded me that, the first mile and a half of that was super hard, but how often in life when we do something, starting is hard, right?
Yeah.
Starting this podcast is hard.
Yeah.
But once you get going and you're like, okay, now you know where the steps are, you know where the boulders are.
Editing.
Yeah. So all of that is so challenging.
He's got to press on. So I'm going to wrap a couple things up here. One, I should have done this at the get-go, but what motivated this is I kind of figure out why I'm doing it and what I'm doing, right? People say, what's it about? We're just going to talk, what?
Yeah.
But that's tough to tell folks. So anyway, I developed the acronym LITE, L-I-T-E, learn, inspire, teach, and entertain. And I think this is one of those podcasts that we're able to touch on multiple of those. So one, I wanted to make sure I mentioned that to anybody who's listening and to tell you as well. And two, go ahead, tell me, review your contact, Warriors Keep.
Yeah.
And then how, if they want to donate. But also you were talking to me a little bit about, or I saw something about somebody even donated an item that the donees, donors could
so thewarriorskeep.org is the nonprofit. You can check them out online. They got a great website. My personal Instagram is @MattMFoster, all one word. You'll see a lot of photos and some of me hiking, some of me out doing whatever random stuff I happen to be doing every day.
Sure.
But
and Warriors Keep has an Instagram page as well.
At the Warriors Keep also. They certainly post a ton of videos. They've got actually applications for the Colorado trip are open right now. So if you wanted to sign up, if you wanted to sign up as a veteran, you can certainly do that.
I was going to say, so I don't want to go, but is it limited to veterans?
Yeah, so the expeditions, Colorado and Kilimanjaro, are limited to veterans of any era, combat or non-combat. You just had to serve. Yeah, is the criteria, which is another cool thing that I really like about the organization, that we're not trying to be too small.
Real quick, I got a good friend of mine who was in the Air Force, and he learned coding and computers there. He was a major knucklehead before, and now he's still kind of a knucklehead, but he's got a great job making really good money. But he tells me he's got PTSD, and I said, you sat in front of a computer the whole time. That wasn't a mean
Sure.
But this was years ago when we first started learning about PTSD. And he goes, yeah, but we would wait he monitored something to where if a missile came, he was the first to alert, right? And so like sometimes false alarms would happen or something that they thought was a missile, and he's just like, the world's about to end.
Right.
And he's like sending these notifications, and he said it still affects him today. So that's non-combat.
Yeah.
Sort of. I mean, that kind of is combat.
Right. But yeah, I mean, everyone deals with that level of stress differently, right? Yeah. And, you know, it is not normal for us to have that, you know, intense level of stress on our bodies for that long of a time, right? And so that has an impact. Some people it's greater, some people it's less. It's all kind of how we manage that. I manage it personally by working out a lot.
Sure.
Right? That's how I clear my head. But yeah, so we do that. I did a Facebook fundraiser recently. I'm probably going to do another one here pretty soon where, you know, I had a opportunity to meet Tony Romo not that long ago. I had him sign some autographs for me.
Very good.
I'm not an autograph guy, but I'm also a guy that understands that other people are.
Yeah.
And
very much so.
And so, you know, I saw him and grabbed a couple, and so I gave everybody that donated. I just turned 36 this month, last month, I guess now.
That was it. That was the 36.
Yeah,
$36
I turned
donation.
36 on January the 13th, and said everyone that donates $36 will get entered into a raffle. And so
very cool.
I'm probably going to do another one with some other random autographed item I have in my house. We'll have to
find
see.
it. So that's why I wanted you to mention all that for anybody who might be listening. If you want to donate an item or donate cash, be sure and do that.
Yeah,
it's a great cause, nonprofit. Matt's giving up his own stuff, so it's not his money. It's not going to him. It's he's donating as well.
I mean, it's so important. At the end of the day, the if I could get anybody to take away anything from our time together, it would be, you know, getting veterans back outdoors is going to solve more problems than it causes, right?
Yeah.
Like getting them outdoors is going to make us happier people. It's going to make them happier. It's going to reconnect them with the world in a way that perhaps, you know, they won't get in an office setting. And it's just generally good for us as human beings to be doing that anyway. And so, you know, anytime we can remove a barrier from somebody to doing that, I think we should. And this is a great opportunity for, you know, it costs the organization $500 to send a veteran to Colorado. That's what it costs.
Okay.
And so, you know, every $500 we get is another veteran we get to send out there.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah.
I'm going to leave it at that. That's great, man. We'll go ahead and call it.
Awesome.
Man. Yeah, good job, Matt. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
See you, bud.